Okay, I believe we are live.
Cool.
Welcome
It's pretty
to the
sleek.
ADHD Roundtable. I am Jess DuBose, and this is an open roundtable discussion about ADHD to bring normalcy to neurodiversity while engaging in deep conversations and having fun. And we have a wonderful Portland group today. All three of us are from Portland, Oregon, and I'm so excited that they're here. So, Emily and Hannah, one of my favorite questions to ask people is, what is your current favorite thing about your flavor of ADHD?
Hmm. I'm happy to answer. I noticed that as you started talking, both of us turned to our phones for a second.
Excellent.
And I was like, oh, my phone buzzed. I have to turn on the do not disturb. Um,
Hmm.
but I think my favorite thing about my personal flavor of ADHD is that I really do feel like I can get so much more done than anybody else. And it feels really good to get all of that done.
For sure.
And
For
it's
sure.
actually not, most of it is not done, but I am in the process of so many more things than most
Yes.
people.
Yeah, there you go. That's the key. Yes.
Mm.
I agree with that. I agree. I definitely resonate with that for sure. But I would say like I guess I don't know that I can commit to a favorite, but I will say like one thing that comes to mind is just the like lack of fear of doing, maybe not even lack of fear of doing something hard, but the enjoyment of
Mm.
doing something hard, like just especially like physically, I like to work physically, I like to work hard. So whether that's like lifting something heavy, like rearranging furniture or, trying out a new workout class or getting back into running or like whatever it is, just the willing, like the dopamine, the joy that we get from pushing through hard things and doing hard things and that internal battle. Personally, right now, I'm loving that.
That's awesome, Hannah. I feel like like a couple months ago, I started doing CrossFit, and I'm not a person that has ever like lifted or gone to a gym to lift stuff.
Uh-huh.
It is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I love it so
Do
much.
tell. Yeah, what's going well?
Um, I'm I love everything about it. I love the community. I love
Mhm.
how everyone is like, yeah, go. Like everyone is so supportive and so funny and self-deprecating and like the really, really strong guys who are lifting I like more weight than I could even calculate. Um, they're making fun of themselves too. And
Yeah.
there are people in the class who are in their 60s who lift more than I can. And
Uh-huh.
it is so just like so cool to see how strong I'm getting and
Right
how
on.
every single time I can lift something a little bit heavier and
Yes.
I get the encouragement. And then when I'm like, ooh, maybe I'm going to try extra 10 pounds and then it
Yes.
looks really bad, one of the coaches can be like, yeah, let's like make it look prettier. And I can feel when the form looks good and I'm lifting something heavy. So yeah, I've never even thought
Uh,
about that as having to do with my ADHD, but 100%. Like
yeah.
I'm loving running and I'm loving CrossFit right now.
Oh, I love that for you. I really genuinely do. It is one of my favorite things to talk about with my own coaching clients because when we expose ourselves to doing something hard and we can viscerally feel the progress, like the a physical challenge, and we feel that progress, it's not only incredibly motivating and we get a lot out of that and it gives us all our instant rewards that we love, but it is so metaphor. It's like this visceral metaphor I can return to again when I'm emotionally pushing through something really hard too, right? Or when I'm working on something that doesn't have that same immediate gratification goal. I can remember that as I push through hard things, that load does increase or that range of motion increases or my lung capacity and running increases or whatever it is. And each step, each time I go, each time I work on something, like it is leading to something that will have a good outcome. But yeah,
Yeah. I feel
pushing
like
through it.
the other piece of that is that like it never actually gets easy because your
Uh-huh.
body can do more.
Yeah.
And so no matter what,
Yes.
you're able to just like push yourself
Yes.
and find your limits.
Yes.
I recently read this book called The Comfort Crisis. Have you read it?
No. I'm gonna write it down though.
Love it. I think that you
Yeah.
would love it. The only problem that I have with this author, it's fine. He's just like a white man and it's not his fault. But he said that we don't have any rites of passage. And I think that birth is an unbelievable rite of passage in our world. I don't know, the history of the universe. So he glossed over that one, but everything else about his book was fine. And essentially, he talks about how, we take the escalator instead of the stairs. We take the elevator instead of the escalator. We want to park really close to the grocery store. We
Mm-hmm.
pretty much do everything we possibly can to DoorDash, make it easy, push the easy button, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he tells his story is really interesting, and he pushes himself really hard in order to write this book about this concept. He talks to a bunch of researchers, and um, it was really inspiring. So, would
Yeah.
recommend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, my ADHD brain, of course, is going through all the things that the Rolodex of information in my brain about, theorizing why that might be. What, if I can ask, what is the like predominant theory as to why we do that from his point of view?
I honestly like can't remember,
Okay.
but if I had to make something up,
Yeah,
um, which I'm
do
very
it.
good at, I would say that it has to do with like how we're wired as animals. Like we are trying to be efficient in
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing in the world. And so efficiency sometimes just means DoorDash or like driving instead of walking a mile. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be really um, detrimental to us because actually, as humans, we're biologically wired for movement and we need it to be healthy. And so when we kind of have evolved to this place where we can use technology to not have to move anymore, it's
Mm-hmm.
to our detriment, but it's almost by accident.
Totally. Yeah. It resonates with something that we talked about in a training that I did with Dr. Hollowell, Edward Hollowell. He
Mm.
wrote Driven to Distraction, ADHD 2.0. Great resources. Anyway,
Cool.
he talks a lot about evolution of the brain, right? And how our brain hasn't evolved past the hunter-gatherer state, right? It's moving past, but like we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of reasons why the ADHD brain is really advantageous.
Yeah.
And it is because it's on that front line of that evolution. But what I was thinking about as you were saying that was really tied back to that from an evolutionary standpoint, that makes a lot of sense that we would look for where we can be efficient, save time, save energy in particular,
Mhm. Mhm.
particularly if I am ADHD and I am maybe the person that stays up all night and protects the tribe from bears and other tribes or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or I'm out hunting and foraging all day long and I have spent physical, like you said, physical energy all day long, or I'm responsible for the village children and maybe I'm the village doula, like whatever it is,
Yeah.
takes a lot of physical demand and a lot of energy. And so it would make sense that we are driven to find areas where we can have greater ease. And that's
Mhm.
something that certainly comes up a lot with clients too. I'm
Yeah.
sure with what you do too, but
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I actually use that as an example with babies that a lot of times parents are really like worried about their baby wanting a bottle versus breastfeeding, and they think that they're getting nipple confusion. And I'm like, there's no, like, they're not confused. They're actually biologically advanced. And a bottle is more consistent than your breast that's like nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden they get squirted in the face and they can't breathe. And like, it's just when you present them with something that is consistent, it feels more efficient to them. Therefore, they're drawn to that.
Sure.
Same
Yeah,
with human evolution all over the place, I guess.
sure.
But it
Yeah.
has been making me kind of push my kids a little bit more to like, let's take the stairs. I'll race you, you know. Here, you carry a
Yes.
heavy backpack.
Yes. Yes. Well, and I think that like, especially that resistance, like the resistance of spending more energy when, especially when I'm tired and I, like I said, all those demands and whatever, spending more, like we know it takes energy to make energy. So the idea of spending more energy so that I feel more energized, like feels crazy and it's really irritating, right? But because things like that, like finding pockets of your day where you can spend a little bit more energy and get a little bit uncomfortable, and the
Mhm.
resistance in doing that, like has not only a physical benefit in doing that, and for myself, my partner, my clients, whoever it is, like we
Yeah.
like that that's a physical bet, like we like that it gives us more energy,
Mhm.
but the psychological benefit over time of pushing yourself, to add in a little bit more resistance or move more or spend a little bit more energy or things like that, and maybe resist in some areas where it feels accessible, to resist a little bit of that convenience culture and that comfort
Yeah.
orientation, like you're saying.
I
A
did
lot of
something that
benefits.
I'm like really proud of. And I actually wrote about it in my newsletter because I was like,
Love it.
this is something that like people wouldn't do. I had a layover in Reykjavik coming back from Latvia. Not important why I was there, but it happens when your brain, is just a little crazy. So, um, I had this layover in Reykjavik and I got in at like 4 p.m. and I didn't leave until 4 p.m. the next day, like a 24-hour layover. And most people would have like gotten a cab to a hotel and stayed in a hotel and come back. But I was working on a PowerPoint and I was looking at the cost and I decided that it wasn't worth the financial cost and the time cost. I was like, I'm going to work until I have to sleep, and then I'm just going to sleep on this cold floor, and then I'm going to get up and work again. And
Yep.
as I was like trying to rest on the very, very cold floor, it's the kind of thing where like your body is warm enough, but because the floor is so cold, you can't sleep. Um, and I feel like it was both like an affirming experience of like I can be uncomfortable and it's fine
Yeah.
and I survive.
Yeah.
It
Totally.
was fine. If I had all my kids with me, would I have done that? Probably not, but maybe. I don't know. There were other
I
people
love that.
sleeping in the airport. So,
I love that.
but some of them were very prepared and brought sleeping bags, which I would do next time if I was doing that again.
Yeah, they've been around before.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. Not their first time.
Ah, okay. So tell us a little bit about how you figured out ADHD was part of your being, and
Mm.
whether you're diagnosed or not is irrelevant.
I mean, I can start.
Go
Great.
for it.
I've been talking about this a lot lately, and I joke with folks that like my discovery, my diagnosis of ADHD came out of crisis, really. Like it came out of a period in my life where my life was literally imploding. It didn't just feel like it was imploding. There were things that happened in my life where major infrastructure was falling apart. And it was a lot to handle. It was a lot all at once, and a long duration of time in that space. And I remember I went to a therapist to process some of the stuff that I just needed help with, and I needed somebody to witness. And, of course, going through a master's training program for clinical mental health counseling, and doing my own research and, things starting to pop up on Instagram and all those other things. I told her, I think I probably have ADHD. I think I have ADHD too. So we should probably talk about that. She says, she kind of leans in and she's like, based on the way that you're talking, I can tell that's probably the case, but we'll do an assessment. And, we did and all that jazz. And thus began the process of really understanding what that meant. And for me, that really was a process of self discovering more than anything in the beginning. We didn't do a lot of psychoeducation around HD in the therapy at that time. We were doing a lot of trauma work. And so for me, it was like reading driven to distraction. It was, listening to other neurobiologists, neuroscientists talk about what that actually means. And as ADHD do, we're drawn towards the kind of headier information and trying to figure it out. And that led to eventually getting certified as an ADHD clinical certification or certified clinical specialist and now full-time ADHD coach. So it's been a
journey.
Huge part of my life. Yeah. Since that diagnosis.
I feel like I'm just still on this journey. I can't even remember where it started, but I think it may have had to do with like leaving my shit everywhere in the house. I think that's like the beginning of it. And that like I did that before too, but like having three kids and a husband who were witnesses, it sort of like started becoming more of a problem. And not necessarily even a problem, but like something that was like light was shown on. And I think just having kids has really shown a light on it because even when I'm trying to be focused, sometimes there's three different people needing my attention. And also as a business owner, I'm just doing so many things all at the same time. And I think because of the ADHD, I have capacity for a lot. And like when I start listing off the things that I'm doing, most people are like, what is wrong with you? There's too much. And it doesn't feel like too much when I'm in a good place, when I'm balanced, But yeah, and it's been kind of a journey through like acknowledging the ADHD side of myself and learning more about my brain and using different strategies and like questioning whether or not I should be taking something and trialing different drugs and trialing different like have you guys heard of Thesis?
Yeah.
Thesis is like nootropics. Like basically they're supplements, but they have a little like clean caffeine pill in there.
Okay.
So it's like you could just take a little caffeine pill. But like drinking coffee never feels good for me. So I wasn't sure if that would help. So I tried that for a while. I've tried a bunch of other drugs. So it's just been really interesting to see like what's going to work for Emily's brain. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, I can certainly resonate with that because for me, like my experience with stimulants was really rough. And like really rough.
How?
Like near mania rough, like over medicated. And there was so much trauma going on at the time. Like I think we just had a really hard time knowing what was what. And so we got to a point where I was over medicated and it was pretty close to manic. I mean, it wasn't formally manic, but it was looking back, you're like, damn, yeah, that was a train wreck, right? And in hindsight, people give you feedback that were like, yeah, we were kind of concerned about you. I'm like, thanks, y'all.
You told me.
Yeah. And some people tried to for sure. But so for me, like that was really traumatic. that experience was really traumatic, right? It like destroyed my finances. It destroyed my relationship with myself and my physical body. It destroyed a lot of my relationships. It was really, really isolating and really traumatic. So for me, I declared like at that point, no medication ever again, right? It was very black or white, very traumatic, trauma-based response. But it did set off, and I'm not in that place anymore, and that's not something that I, would ever want somebody somewhere I'd want somebody to stay, but it did set off a really good journey of learning how to manage that as organically as I possibly could. And for me, that meant committing to a lot of exercise.
Yeah.
And so it started out as like trying to get back into running, but like a lot of ADHDers, I have an autoimmune disease. I also have endometriosis, and running just was really hard. And so it meant a lot of walking. And that was very meditative and really good for my nervous system.
Yeah, really important. It's
So
like the best thing for your joints. There's actually, I was reading something where it was basically talking about how as you ambulate, as you're walking, if you run, the synovial fluid in your knee joint will stop. But if you're walking, it's slowly moving back and forth, bathing the joint and bringing like healing to the joint as you're moving. So walking
beautiful.
is so, so, so good for us. Running,
Yeah.
not as good, although it's great for bone density, you know?
Sure. Yeah, and possibly mental health, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, like I feel like every day we're finding out more information about how healing and beneficial walking is, right? And to your earlier point, we just don't do enough of it. Um, when people ask me about like how do you manage it, like I have to be really honest that I learned through some of that training that like ideally we would have as ADHDers about 2 hours a day of physical activity, physical exertion, which
Ooh,
is like really hard for
nice.
so many of us to do, right? So like that for me, I have the privilege of like you being my own boss, being a business owner, doing what I do. I get to integrate that into what I do. So I do walk and talk sessions with my client where, we will go for a walk together.
Mhm.
And, I just have integrated that more and more throughout my day and my work, but it has been committing to a lot of physical activity and then hydration, nutrition, supplementation. Like it was a traumatic start to managing ADHD, but it's led to essentially like learning how to take really good care of my body and my brain and how interconnected the brain, the gut, the nervous system
Yeah.
is and how it has to work together to manage these things. It's not one part that we
So
have to focus on.
have you come to that is like the supplementation that makes you feel balanced?
It is a moving target. I mean, genuinely, because it depends on so many things, right? Like stressors and reproductive cycling, you know, what what do I want to say? Seasonal differences. Like it's just there's a lot that changes. But for me, magnesium is a huge part of that supplementation. Caffeine is
Mhm.
a part of that supplementation. And not consistent. Like I don't stay at one dose forever and ever, amen.
Mhm.
Like it does mean that I have to give my body breaks and I have to work with that. What else? 5-HTP is another one.
Cool.
What is it? C vitamins, multivitamin, probiotics, MCT oil,
All the good stuff.
all the good stuff. Yeah, creatine. Yeah, the heavy hitters, like the ones that are probably going to come up if you Google
Mhm.
good.
That's
I
so interesting hearing you say that because I have surprisingly not Googled that and I'm doing okay comparing myself to like what you're doing. I also may be over medicated slash under medicated because I cannot consistently take anything. So
yeah,
I need to like when I know that I need a little bit of like assist, I remember to take something. Um,
yep.
but I don't
Yeah.
remember to like refill the prescription. I'm probably not going to refill my most recent prescription. And I've been on like the very lowest dose of everything because I am afraid of being over medicated. So
Yeah, understandably. Yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting.
So are
Um,
you considering managing that stuff in different ways than you currently have been if you're thinking
yeah.
about not renewing?
So what I've done, I can tell I'm like an open book. So I started with Adderall because you kind of have to go in that direction if you want Vyvanse. So I started with Adderall and then I went to 10 milligrams of Vyvanse and then 20.
Mhm.
Um, and honestly, like it's kind of weird, but it makes me, I think I told Jess this actually. It makes me be able to sort of like zoom out and see how much freaking work I have to do.
Mhm.
And it's
Sure.
actually not that great.
Yeah, I can follow that. I can follow that.
Like I kind of like being in the moment where I'm like, oh, I only have these like 25 things that I have to get done before I get to
Yep.
the next 25 things.
Yeah.
Um, and but I also sometimes take it and don't even notice a change. So it it feels almost like it's not worth it. And I had this with coffee too when I used to drink coffee every morning. If I'm
Mhm.
so unbelievably sensitive. Like
Mhm.
my vision changed this much when I was pregnant with my second baby. And I was like, I can't see. And I went to the ophthalmologist and they were like, so you're just a perfectionist. And we will give you glasses, but you don't have a high enough prescription for us to be able to give you contacts. I was like,
Yeah.
but I can't see anything
Right.
without them anymore. Um,
Yep.
and when I don't wear them, I get a really bad headache. And same with not drinking coffee. I got a horrible headache.
Yep.
I didn't notice that with not taking like a little bit of Adderall or whatever. I would forget and be like, oh, well, I guess I'm just a little distracted today. It's fine.
Sure.
Um, so yeah, but I do notice it with the Vyvanse. Like I was taking it consistently every day and then I stopped for a few days and I just like felt icky and kind of
Yeah.
nauseous.
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
Okay. Oftentimes when people use the word distracted, it's negative. I'm wondering what are the positives of distraction?
I have so many positives of distraction.
Tell us.
Bring it.
I love being distracted. Here's the reason why. Um, First of all, I feel like I can get a lot more done because, like, yeah, I know nobody can multitask. It's not a thing. We're not multitasking. We're like tasking one after the other. But because,
Like microtasking.
right, or like task switching, whatever you want to call it, because I am so easily distracted, I can task switch really quickly and be doing another thing already.
Mhm.
Like, for example, I run something called the Infant Neuromotor Network. It's a networking group in Portland for people who treat babies. And I realized that I was doing all of these crazy things to try and keep us organized. So somebody would reach out and be like, hey, I heard you do this thing. I want to come. And I'd be like, okay, let's tag you in my Google contacts. And then I have to send you the spreadsheet so that you can add yourself to the spreadsheet. And it was just so many things. And so I just was like, what am I doing? I can create an online community where everyone can just like be together and I can just send an announcement. Done.
Mhm.
And so as I was writing the email to everyone, letting them know, hey, our meeting is tonight. Can't wait to see you there. I was like, oh, amazing idea. Quick. And I went and built the community and then stuck that link in the email and sent it off. So, like, I was really distracted, but I got everything done and put it in a cute little package and sent it off. And it like took me a little longer, but then it was done. And that happens all the time with my distractibility that I'm like, ah, idea, and then I do it.
Mhm.
Maybe other things aren't getting done that need to get done, but eventually everything always gets done, I've
There
learned.
you go. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Hmm.
feel like a lot of times when I'm talking to clients, there's this concept that Like consistency and efficiency are going to be the things that save you, but those are the
Mhm.
things that are boring the fuck out of ADHDers, and that's not how your being works. And so leaning into the being distracted and understanding that everything's going to get done exactly when it's supposed to. And if it's not because there are unmanaged ADHD things or other things that are happening, then we can have the conversation about that. But in general, like everything gets done when it's supposed to, even if it's the last minute. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't have to be done ahead of time. It was supposed to be due at this point. You got it done by the deadline or 2 minutes after, and it's
Mm-hmm.
done.
I'm like really in that right now, Jess. I have
Mhm.
so many crazy deadlines that I love hearing this because I do believe that it's all going to get done. But I have a grant application and a slide deck due Friday, and I have to create and record and edit a different lecture. Slide decks, slides have not been created by and like submit it by October 1st. And it feels like there's no possible way. But then like things open up and my husband offered to like take the kids to Seattle for the weekend. So you better believe I'm gonna maybe manically be working in the middle of the night all weekend. But that's okay because like I work really well that way and I enjoy it. Sometimes it goes too far, but not all the time. Oh.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think though that like I guess one of the things I'm sitting with is that while that's true, and I certainly function from a it'll get done if and when it's done, most of the time. I will say that like there is an impact on your nervous system.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
when that philosophy is contributing to negative self-concept
Hmm.
issues on our identity and is putting a lot of stress on many different systems. But our nervous system, our adrenal system, like it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
Like it can't be that every time when that coping skill or that way of managing myself is now causing more harm than good.
Mhm.
And I and that's having an effect,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Because I just think about like there are so many clients that I work with where they're really high performing professionals and they've done that for a long time.
Mhm.
And they're also coming from historical backgrounds that were really high stress. So their systems have been put through the ringer for decades,
Mhm.
right? Like a really long time.
Mhm.
And the toll that just stress takes on the body, whether it's functional stress and it like excites me and like serves positively one part of my ADHD, it still is stress and it still is causing a certain amount of load and demand on that physiology.
Mhm.
Um, and that can be damaging over time, and we do have to address that at a certain point.
Yeah. And I think like for me, the problem is like taking on too many things and almost not like paying attention because when you apply to present at a conference, you don't do it last week and then you're like, whoops, I did it for two days in the same week, you know?
Mhm.
Um, it's like 2 years ago or a year ago that I applied, and then I wasn't sure I was going to get accepted, and then I got accepted to everything, and then I said
Yeah.
yes because I got accepted. And, but I think there's something really important here that like I had been kind of operating in this like stress response to the amount of work. Um, but just the reframe of like, it will get done. And so maybe we don't have to be stressed about it, which is not always like easier said than done, right? But the ability to like reframe my situation and think like,
Mhm.
okay, like it's not something that I need to freak out about.
Mhm.
I just do have to like do the next thing, cross it off, and do the next thing, and it will get
Mhm.
done. It will get done.
Yeah.
And I think it's really helpful for my nervous system. And you only get that when you've done it a million times. Like
Yeah.
you've gone through it and you've like, just like you were saying, when you're pushing yourself really hard,
Mhm.
you have all of those other times that you pushed yourself really, really hard in your
Mhm.
back pocket to be like, I can do this because I did that. And so when you're coming up against something where you feel stressed, you feel the time crunch because you're so time blind, you can notice inside your body, especially if you've like worked with someone like you that can help you like navigate that. Um, and you can feel inside your body that it's becoming a stress response. And then you can decide, like, do I have to actually be stressed about this? Or is it all going to get done? Or is there something I can change so that it can get done if it's not going to?
Mhm. Yeah. I love the question of choice. That's
Mhm,
something that I've been thinking a lot about is choice around emotion.
mhm,
I
Mm-hmm.
love Stoic philosophy. Like I'm a big dork. You go in my living room and there's like a shitload of books on philosophy. And I am in it right now with Stoic philosophy. So I've been thinking a lot about emotional choice, right? Like this concept that I don't have to have an opinion about this thing right now,
mhm,
even though my automatic response is to have an opinion about this thing. And
mhm,
that emotional impulsivity for us as ADHDers is just like, I'm going to grab onto that emotional response and I'm going to write it. Right. And so I love what you're saying because what I took from that I obviously like needed to hear, but echoes some of what I've been talking about too, has been like, okay, yeah, that response came up. And maybe I got stressed or I panicked or thought, how am I ever going to get this done? And doubted like whatever it is.
mhm,
I don't have to have those opinions though.
mhm,
Like I get to choose.
mhm.
And this is actually where my mind went, Jess, when you asked the question about distraction, I'm thinking like, well, there's two kinds of coping skills. There's distraction and diffusion. So like, again, on the yay for distraction train, like that's where a very functional use of distraction comes in. Okay, I had that automatic thought come up and I want to grab onto it. I'm pausing, like you said, and I'm not going to attach to that automatic response.
Mhm.
And maybe in order to do that, I have to distract myself for a second.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. And a really adaptive use in that way of distraction. And then I can get back to doing my grant that I'm going to crush
Yeah.
and
You
submit.
just reminded me I need to write down grant application.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Okay, you said distraction and diffusion. What do you mean by diffusion?
Diffusion would be like journaling or talking with a friend about what I'm feeling. Or, yeah, like having somebody like a coach, talk you through the process and help you nail down how you're going to approach a thing and do all the things and hold you accountable to doing the things. Diffusion is like diffusing the emotion
Mm.
out, diffusing the stress response biologically, or emotionally through those other very cognitive type of approaches. And then distraction is what we know, like put on a TV show that brings me comfort, or
Mhm.
go walk down and get a coffee for myself so I'm out of the environment that I'm currently in, or text a friend a funny meme, or go find a funny meme, or whatever it is to distract myself. Yeah.
I think that like as someone who had ADHD and didn't know,
Mhm.
it was really damaging for me to use distraction for that purpose, like putting on a TV
Mhm.
show. Um,
Yeah, sure.
Now that doesn't feel good anymore. It feels like something I want to like do specifically for 20 to 30 minutes with my partner in order to relax.
Love
And
it.
it never feels good to like just keep watching anymore because I used that so much in
Mhm.
like moments of high stress when I didn't really understand why.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of these things that we're talking about come back to like some basic things that I talk about all the time, but one of them is learning to trust yourself. And a lot of ADHDers that I know, not just Emily, are really sensitive. So but learning what each of those sensitivities are is so nuanced. So you have to like remove yourself from the comparison game, like
Mhm.
outside of other people, and do the comparison within. Like, ooh,
Mhm.
today I'm feeling a little more tired. Or, ooh, today I'm feeling like I might need some more support. Or, ooh,
Mhm.
today, ooh, I didn't eat yesterday. Maybe I need to eat today. Like whatever it is. But you have to like remove the external comparison so that you can learn about the nuances within yourself so that you can build the trust to know like what Emily has done. She's built all this trust to see that she can do hard things. Her time blindness is not actually affecting her in a negative way because of how she's built her life. And so
Mhm.
then it becomes well, I'm just going to do the next thing and everything will get done when it's supposed to because I've built all this trust with myself and I'm using the distraction to move task switch because I'm trusting my intuition to move to the next thing that gets to happen right now. So by creating this community before I send this email, even though it's taking more time right now, it means in the long run, I'm saving myself time.
Yeah.
And so she's building that stuff with herself. And so, but
Yes.
that building trust with yourself takes time and it
Yeah.
Yeah.
takes a lot of intention.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think like it takes um just taking one step towards something scary and thinking like
Mhm.
maybe.
Mhm.
And then that one step brings something positive. And so you can take one more step. It's kind of how they talk about like kids in school and learning to read and learning math, that like they try and keep it all very positive now because they don't want kids learning this story or telling themselves this story that like I'm not good at X, Y, and Z.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Okay, tell us who you are and what you do. You've already alluded to some of the things that you do in the world, but tell us more specifically.
Do you want to go first, Hannah?
Sure. Um, I'm Hannah Allen. Um, I am a licensed therapist in Washington State, and I am an ADHD and life coach. Um, I do ADHD and life coaching. What that means is that I work with high performing ADHD, primarily now working with high performing ADHDers. So people who are just like Emily, actually, who are killing it in a lot of life. And there are things that they want: emotional support, strategic support, and accountability to keep living life in a way that feels manageable and feels good to who they are now and who they continue to evolve as they move forward in their life, because we're not stagnant, we're always evolving.
Yeah,
So I'm there to just provide that support, accountability, structural stuff.
cool.
um, and psychoeducation. Got to learn about your ADHD, you got to learn about yourself,
Yeah,
and in order to integrate that.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
If somebody wanted to work with you, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, allentherapeutics.com, and learn a little bit more about me, or just send me a message is the best way to do that. And then I can get in touch with you and see if coaching is the right fit for you. Sometimes people reach out and therapy is what is a better fit for them with what they're looking for or for where they're at right now. And so I can help get people connected to those resources, but I can also help them evaluate if coaching is the right fit for them. And then if we're a good fit for each other, and so on and so forth, set that up. So I specifically tend to work on the social and the emotional aspects of ADHD. So emotional regulation, yes, nervous system management as a part of that, and then relationships. So how to be values aligned, all that good stuff within relationships.
Cool.
Awesome. I'll
Yeah.
make sure I link it below if you all are interested in connecting with Hannah.
Thanks. Thanks, Hannah.
Yeah.
Time I meet another ADHD coach, I'm like, oh, I need an ADHD coach. So I'm Emily Spaeth, and I'm the founder of Be Well Baby. And there are two branches to this business, essentially. The first is that my goal is really to change the way that people think about preparing for having a baby. And the idea that a 3-hour hospital birth class is enough. It's not. It's not enough. And you deserve more. So I have created this online program called the Beyond Birth Blueprint, and I meet weekly with my students and we talk about everything. And it has classes for pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and babies. And I worked in the NICU for a long time, so it has all the education that I used to share with the nurses that I worked with about baby development and baby cues and everything that you need to know about babies. The other branch of the business is local. Um, that one I can serve anybody anywhere in the world. And then this one is I have clinicians who are lactation consultants, physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech and language pathologists who specialize in like infant feeding and swallowing, and pelvic floor therapists who do home visits in Portland and surrounding areas. We will go to Beaverton, Camas, and Washougal. And it's just a really profound difference in the quality of care that you get when you have somebody coming to your home who's been doing it for 18 years. So, my team is amazing, and the work that they do is amazing, and I'm really proud of them. So, yeah, that's Be Well Baby. And then I'm also the director of
Awesome.
Power, which is Portland, Oregon Women Entrepreneurs Roundtable. I just took over directorship. And yeah, we have our next meeting on October 20th. Somebody told me that they were scared to come. And I was like, what? Don't be scared. I'm so not scary. And she was like, well, it's called Power. And I'm like, yeah, but
Oh, yeah,
no,
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 it's not scary.
it's
It is
not
the
like
opposite of scary.
it is the like most collaborative, beautiful people group of people. So if you are entrepreneur curious or if you own your own business and you happen to be a woman or identify as a woman, please come.
Love it.
And I do lots of other things too, but that's enough for now. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can go to bewellbaby.org. You can also just text 971-351-2714. That's our practice line. And my beautiful and wonderful assistant, Lillian, is like ready and waiting to help anybody with like pair them with whoever they need to see.
That's incredible.
Oh,
Uh,
and my background is actually I'm a doctor of physical therapy and a lactation consultant. So that's what I do. I know. I have recently been feeling more like a business owner and less like a physical therapist and a lactation consultant, which is like both beautiful and different and interesting and new. So,
hmm. I'm Jess DuBose, and I'm an ADHD coach who doesn't have ADHD, if you're new to me, which is a strange thing, but also really fun. I help ADHDers move through their get out of their own ways so that they can live the life they say they want to be living. That's what I love doing.
I was
And
just about to be like, Jess, I have your tagline memorized, so I can help.
I like had a brain fart and I was like, wait, what is it that I always say? This is why I get asked, are you sure, Jess, you don't have ADHD? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm probably neurodivergent in some way, but I don't have time blindness or, you know. Um, anyway, there's a myriad of ways for people to work with me. If you've been following the roundtable for a little while, you know that. But one of the thing I really want to tell everybody about today, I've never done this before on this roundtable, but I'm gonna share my screen. Can y'all see my
Cool.
screen? Okay. Can you see it? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, this is my new lead magnet on my website, which is a fancy term for saying the free shit on my website. Um, Before I had this, I had something called the ADHD Pro Tip Guidebook, which was a 23-page guidebook, which was beautiful in theory, and it my whole point was to make sure I offered actual value because there's a lot of people online that will give you guidebooks that have really not much in it and you're like, why, what was the point of this? But I wanted to make sure there was value in it, and I did, but I forgot about the fact that ADHDers like download all kinds of shit and never look at it again. So I realized I was part of the problem. And that's why this emerged. Isn't he so cute?
So cute.
So your daily brain nudge is 10 days of free ADHD texting. So you'll get a little text with like a nudge to support your ADHD, and then there's a link to a landing page with a voice note from me that's no more than 2 minutes long. So some people just read the text and they don't bother with the voice note, and that's okay if that's your speed. Other people really like to hear the voice note because then you get a little bit more in depth about the thing that we're talking about on that particular day. Because the first 10% and the last 10% are usually the hardest for ADHDers. So these are little nudges to make sure you start and finish the thing that we talked about the day before. So you can go to my website, jessdubose.com. If you just scroll down a little bit, he's right here. But I'll make sure it's also linked below in case you're interested.
Cool.
And then after the 10 days, you're invited into my texting community, which is called ADHD Love Notes. And then you get to be part of our ADHD community, where you get love notes every day to remind you how amazing you are and that your ADHD, while can be challenging, is also really beautiful.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay, so
Wait, I have a question for you, Jess.
yes.
How did you get into coaching ADHDers if you don't have ADHD?
I have a background in music education, and I had a professor in college that did a simulation on ADHD. So there was, I walked into the classroom, I thought it was a normal day, and it was not. There was vacuuming going on in the hallway, the lights were getting turned on and off, people were sneezing excessively loud and getting up to throw away trash. There was an Affleck duck that kept going on in the middle of class. Affleck! Affleck! And then the professor started going faster and faster and faster through the slides, and I was like, I do not know what's happening right now. So I threw my pen on the table and I crossed my arms and I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I cannot learn. Uh, and then he paused and he's like, people with ADHD, it's not that they can't pay attention, it's that they pay attention to everything. And this was 2008. So the only thing I had known about ADHD before that was can't sit still, can't pay attention. So that reframe for me was so powerful. And I'm just fascinated how brains work anyways and how people can be so different from one another. So anytime I met somebody who told me they had ADHD, I would just ask them a million questions. Like, let me help me understand. I want to know how our brains work so differently. So that was, since 2008. So I accidentally started collecting ADHDers as a result in my life. I was married to one for a while, and while we're no longer married, we're friends. Wrote a whole book about that. It's called I Don't Hate My Ex-Husband. And then a few years ago, I was living with some roommates who had ADHD, and they kept asking me, like, Jess, when are you going to do your workshop on ADHD? And I was like, why the fuck would I do that? I don't have ADHD. But I had done the life coaching certification, and I was trying to find who I was going to serve. And so I was like, huh. And then I started noticing how I was teaching them and some other friends in my life, how I was teaching them about their own ADHD. And so I was like, okay. So I did a workshop, and then I created a program, and then it has just spiraled into this is what I
Cool.
do full time, and I love it. ADHDers are some of my favorite people in the world.
Cool.
Same.
It's never boring.
Same.
Never
No.
boring. And if any of you watching or Hannah and Emily are into astrology at all, my Venus is in Gemini, which means that I'm constantly looking for mental stimulation. I need to have intellectual conversations, particularly with a romantic partner, but other people too. And that I will have all day, every day with an ADHDer, because they will have hyper focused on a thing and then they teach me all about it. And I'm like, yes, tell me, because I don't want to learn from digging on the internet, because who knows what I'll find on there. But I love learning from ADHDers.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super fun. We have just a couple of minutes and I want to be mindful of your guys' time, but what I'd love to ask is, like, what's one tip, trick, strategy, something that like supports the fuck out of your ADHD that you would want to share with somebody else in case it would help them?
I have
Movement.
one. Oh, you go first, Hannah.
Oh no, I just blurted it out because I'm ADHD. I mean, I just said movement. I mean, I
Yeah.
just can't say enough about it. So I am building a community for ADHDers myself. I have another community that I didn't plug here. It's called Her Aligned Mind. You can go check it out. But this one is specifically for ADHDers, and part of that will have daily movement, different kinds of daily movement, because it's just and different challenges and partnerships and things like that. But movement, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. The threads are all kind of going right now, but from cognitive organization to energy management to emotional regulation to stress diffusion. I mean, as we've already talked about today, the biological implications of walking, like all kinds of movement. Find what you love to do and do it.
Cool.
And then diversify. Yeah, it's been a huge game changer for me, for sure.
Diversify.
Nutrition.
If you get bored, just change your body movement to something else.
That's right.
I love that. I've never put it together that that is helping me so much, and it is totally helping me so much. So
Yes,
it's nice to be able to think like, oh no, this is my medicine. I have to do this.
absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
It's like I do like 3 to 4 days of CrossFit a week, and on the days that I'm not doing CrossFit, sometimes like the day goes by and I haven't done any movement. And I'm a yoga teacher, and like part of Beyond Birth and like my return to running protocol for postpartum is all obviously movement based. I'm a physical therapist, like I'm all about bodies. Um, but when I'm like in my focused working brain, it sometimes, even for me, falls by the wayside. So
Yeah.
it's really helpful to be like, no, I have to do this every day. So I'm excited to have that. Like I know I want it already, but it's almost like I have this new like, well, I get to do this every day because I want to and because I know how good it is for my brain.
Totally. There are two thoughts that go through my mind, and the first is exactly on that point. I had a friend of mine once talk about doing like her getting into a new form of exercise, and she said, you know, it at first it was really hard to show up and do it every day, and now it's harder not to.
Yeah.
And like it's medicine now
Mm.
more so than it is anything else. And I
Mhm.
think, yeah, that's for sure true for me as well. I feel it, when I don't emotionally and all the other things. The other is that I did an integrative medicine certification program, and like among the myriad different things that we talked about, the three heavy hitters, right, as we all know, are exercise, nutrition, and hydration.
Yeah.
But the nutrition piece being specific to your biology. It isn't just like go on, Health Talk or Google and get the standard like, gram per of protein per body. But like it's work with someone if you're interested in getting more into how nutrition can really help your whole functioning and help manage some of this stuff. What is specific to your biology is really essential. And sometimes that can really surprise you. So having somebody that can do those assessments or evaluations or give you guidance on that is huge. And then as we talked about before, supplementation, but I would say movement, nutrition are the things that for me are non-negotiables.
Yeah. Um, hearing you say that brings up part of Beyond Birth is I just launched the Thrive module, which is essentially that. It's T is for tuning in, so like meditation, breathing. H is for hydration, R is for rest, I is for intentional movement,
Nice.
V is for village, because we're talking about like you're having a baby, you want to build your village, and then E is for eat. So it's like, it's all of those basic things that are so hard for us.
So
And they're
hard.
so basic. And if we could do all of those well, oh my God, like our whole society would be better. And it would be kind of amazing. And we still all need so much help with that. So that's like, I think for me, like trying to like walk my talk, is really helpful. The initial thing that came up for me was like such a privileged thing, and I really want to acknowledge that. I have this woman who works for me, and she basically makes it okay for me to have ADHD because she's amazing. And um, she makes sure things don't fall through the cracks. And like they still do because it's all still in my head, but she's really, really integral in um, my ability to just like be who I am and have it be okay. And she's also so kind about my ADHD. We just can laugh together about it. So I love Lily. And the other thing is that has been really, really helping me recently is I'm not really a morning person, but like waking up at 4:30 and working for an hour and a half before my kids get up is so good for me. It's
Mm,
such good time for my brain. Um, it feels like really tender and sweet, and it feels um, like I can really genuinely pick a thing and work on it and move it forward a lot. And there isn't the distraction of anything else because it's so quiet. I can't do anything else. I can't go fold the laundry. I have to just do the work. And then I have a deadline. My kid's gonna get up at 6:30, so I have to, be done in that moment, regardless of where I am. Um, it used to be from like 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. That was like my sweet spot. And I really still think like that's when I do my best work. But that's not possible with three kids and a spouse. If the spouse wasn't there, maybe it would be possible. But like I really want to hang out with him. So 4:30 in the morning has been working for me.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know a lot of ADHDers that were like, why? Either they get up super early or they stay up super late and they're like, I don't understand why this works for me. I'm like, because you literally can't do anything else. You can't go to the bank, it's closed. You can't
Mhm.
like call your bank to make a doctor's appointment because you can't
Uh-huh.
like it's not open. Like all and you can't call a friend because they're probably asleep. Like so you have all this uninterrupted, focused time to be able to do the thing that you're trying to do. And
That's
so,
how I built a website.
yeah, yeah. Thank you both so much for being here and being a part of the ADHD Roundtable. It was so lovely to have you on here.
Thanks for hosting us.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you, Jess. It was my pleasure.
yeah, for anyone who's watching, I'll make sure that the links are below if you want to get in contact with Emily or Anna. I know them both personally, and I know that they would be so happy to hear from you. So make sure you reach out.